Applebee says closing the restaurant 2 hours early would cost the restaurant $250,000 a year. A truck and trailer was stolen at Winn-Dixie's in the Villages. Neighbor bails out daughter on the attack of her mother in the Villages. Villager files update on golf cart parking at new apartments at the Square. New Yorker arrested on theft charges at Buffalo Ridge Walmart. The Villages finally confirms that the Brownwood Theater will not reopen. A court-ordered sale of Monarch Ranch opens up an industrial park for Sumter County. Another broken egg cafe to open up in the Villages. Villager helps police track down his son who fled from a hit-and-run crash. This and more coming up. A representative of Applebee's in the Villages said a law forcing their bar to close early would cost the restaurant about $250,000 in annual revenue. Chris Pruce, area director for Neighborhood Restaurant Partners Florida LLC, which operates the restaurant on Bashara Boulevard, made a plea Monday night before the Lady Lake Commission, asking the officials to consider or reconsider a proposed ordinance that would force restaurants to cut off liquor sales up to 2 hours early. Currently, the bars can continue to pour liquor until 2 a.m. The three restaurants that would be impacted are Margarita Republic, Miller's Ale House, and Applebee's. We'll stop right there. Margarita Republic has nothing but trouble there on a regular basis. It's got to be dealt with somehow, some way. Apparently, Margarita Republic can't deal with it. Miller's Ale House, I really haven't heard about any problems there at all, ever. But that don't mean that there isn't, but I haven't heard of any. Applebee's here not too long ago had a shooting and murder there, and it's all been basically declared as alcohol related. So somebody's got to do something. A truck and trailer were stolen from a Winn-Dixie grocery store in the Villages. The truck and trailer were stolen at about 4 p.m. Wednesday from the Winn-Dixie Old Camp Road at Lake Sumter Landing. The truck is a 1996 Dodge Ram 1500 white and gray with rust, a black brush guard, and a white spotlight on top. The trailer is a 2017 carry-on single-axle open trailer. In the bed of the truck were 2 leaf blowers, 1 hedge and weed eater, 1 backpack sprayer, all Stihl brand, a blue iPhone 12, and a pink Yeti. A pink Yeti. Anyone with information who may have seen this truck or trailer should contact the Criminal Investigations Divisions at 352-793-2621. You will remain anonymous. A neighbor has bailed out a daughter arrested in an alleged attack at her mother's home in the Villages. Lisa Ann Waldeck, 56, was arrested last month after trying to force her way into her mother's home on San Juan Drive in the village of Hacienda East. The mother began the eviction process in January in an attempt to get Waldeck out of her home, according to Sumter County court records. Waldeck had been living in home since 2016. The mother has lived in home since 1996 and took sole ownership of it in 2013 after the death of her husband. Time for you to make your way there, baby cakes. The Villages has filed an updated plan for golf cart parking for future apartment dwellers at Spanish Springs Town Square. This past week, the Villages filed a minor modification application with the town of Lady Lake to provide 8 golf cart parking spaces for the occupants of the apartments in the Van Patten House, otherwise known as Katie Bells. The proposal calls for a modification to one of the landscape islands near the Van Patten House and will not reduce or modify any parking in the vicinity that exists at present, according to the town officials. The Village's desire to put apartments in the former home of Katie Bells has been a sore point for many of the longtime residents. Well, I guess I'm one of them. I think it was a slap in the face. It was the only club that was exclusively for Villages residents only. Only one. And they couldn't leave that here for the people. In 2022, the Lady Lake Commission voted 3-2 to reject the Village's plan for apartments at the Van Patten House. However, within days of that meeting, Commissioner Ed Freeman contacted the town's attorney and admitted he had misgivings about his vote due to the likelihood of a lawsuit by the Villages. Ultimately, Freeman changed his vote, providing a margin of victory for the Villages. Enough said. A 95-year-old villager will be arraigned later this month on a charge of she left the scene of an accident after her vehicle struck a fellow resident's golf cart, resulting in serious injury to the woman. Eleanor Levitt, 95, of Sumter Senior Living, was allegedly at the wheel of a green 2007 Mercury Montego on the afternoon of December 29th when she ran a stop sign and hit a golf cart driven by 81-year-old Nancy Lou Hooper. Levitt remains free on a $5,000 bond. She'll be arraigned May 30th in Marion County Court. The Amenity Authority Committee will consider a $1.285 million bid for the renovation of 2 executive golf courses. The golf courses to be renovated are the Hilltop Executive Golf Courses and the Briarwood Executive Golf Course. The work will include new greens, tees, fairways, and regrassing of the courses. The lower bidder for the work is Westscapes LLC with bids of $653,309 for Hilltop Course and $632,227 for the Briarwood Course. Other builders were Lander Incorporated and Down to Earth LLC. The AAC had budgeted $1.7 million for the work, so the good news is that the low bid will result in a savings of $414,463. The work is being funded with amenity money collected from residents of the villages north of County Road 466. A New Yorker was arrested on a theft charge at Walmart at Buffalo Ridge Plaza in the Villages. Destiny Christine Roberts, 34, of Brooklyn, New York, was arrested Tuesday morning at the store after scanning a cartload of merchandise repeatedly using the same 98-cents price tag. She paid a total of $20.58 for the merchandise, which had actually valued $165.76. Roberts left the store without paying the price, which was owed. She was taken into custody on a charge of retail theft. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. The driver of a speeding sport utility vehicle was arrested at Southern Trace Plaza in the Villages. Allison Marie Stagner, 22, of Lady Lake, was caught on radar Tuesday night traveling at 60 miles per hour in a 45 miles per hour zone on County Road 466 in a white SUV, according to the arrest report. During the traffic stop in the parking lot of Citizens First Bank, Stager admitted she had marijuana in her vehicle. She did not have a medical marijuana license. A total of 30.9 grams of marijuana was found in the SUV. I don't know, is that a lot? 30.9 grams? It sounds like a lot, but I don't know. The Indiana native, oh my God, she's a Hoosier. You know how they got that name Hoosier, right? Okay. The Indiana native was arrested on a felony charge of possession of marijuana. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. The Villages has confirmed there is no plan to reopen the Barnstorm Theater at Brownwood Paddock Square. The Village's Vice President for Community Relations, Gary Lester, appeared at a recent town hall meeting conducted by the Village's homeowner advocates. In the closed-door meeting, it was made clear that the Barnstorm Theater is to remain closed unless there is a national resurgence in movie theater attendance and the unbridled American appetite for streaming at home starts to level off. It ain't. It ain't going to level off. People ain't going to go to the movie theater for the same reasons that I said. Rude people in the theater. That's it. Rude people in the theater that don't care about nobody in there. You pay $50, $35, whatever you pay to go in there. You try to help the theater out by doing things like buying the expensive popcorn and things, you know, and then you go in there and there's people around you talking, got their cell phones out, texting, all that for $35. I can get the same movie at my house for $5 and watch it in the comfort of my own home. It does make one wonder if they have plans on putting a movie theater down at the new town square. This is kind of a sensitive subject to me because my dad, because of the law of right of eminent domain, it's a government land grab. They can force you to sell your property at the price that they deem to be the average price. And I don't know. It gives everything against my soul and my body that says this is my property, my land, and then they take it from me, whether it's paid for or not, made no difference. I hate this kind of thing. Now, I don't know the whole story here, but I just don't like the sound of it. Leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Maybe you know more about this than I do. The court ordered sale of a 3,400-acre Monarch Ranch has opened up key industrial land in Sumter County. The buyer will have the opportunity to construct millions of square feet of industrial space, providing the zoning and development order is approved for such use. At the convergence point of Interstate 75 and Florida Turnpike, which sees more than 60% of all state highway truck traffic, Avison Young Florida Capital Markets Group has been tapped to spearhead the court-ordered sale of Monarch Ranch. By acquiring a footprint of Monarch Ranch's scale and connectivity at the midpoint of Florida's fastest growing cities, a developer will be able to create an industrial node that defines distribution and warehousing activity for the state's central corridor and Gulf Coast as it continues its massive wave of growth. Florida attracted the most significant influx of residents compared to any other U.S. state in 2022, gaining an average of 1,217 new residents daily. As a result, demand has driven rents for industrial space across virtually all of Florida markets to record highs. For example, rental rates within Monarch Ranch's immediately vicinity rose 11.1% year over year as the first quarter of 2023. I don't like the idea of a government being able to force you to sell your property. I don't care. For any reason. Another Broken Egg Cafe is set to open in the Villages. The restaurant, known for upscale brunch, is at 3713 Megason Road in Brownwood. Another Broken Egg Cafe will offer guests its Southern-inspired menu offerings and signature craft cocktails from the cafe's full bar. Operating hours will be from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., Monday through Sunday. Offerings at the Villages locations include core menu items with broad fan appeal, like the shrimp and grits, chicken and waffles, lobster and bria omelet, rancheros, and the southern chicken sandwich. In addition, the new location features a full bar, which guests can enjoy another Broken Egg Cafe signature craft cocktails, including the ABE Cyclone, Captain Morgan and Original Spice Rum, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Nola Style House-Made Punch, and Frangelica Brunch Blueberry Margarita, and that's a mouthful, and mimosas and Bloody Marys and more. A beer-drinking villager was arrested after a crash at the popular restaurant at Lake Sumter Landing. Julie Diane Neff, 66, of the Village of Tall Trees, was driving a red Ford Sport utility vehicle at about 7 p.m. Tuesday when she drove up on the sidewalk and into the side of the Chop House on Old Camp Road. She was still in the driver's seat when a trooper arrived to conduct an investigation. It appeared she had been drinking. You think? She nearly fell over during a field sobriety exercises. She provided breath samples that registered .160 and .154 blood alcohol content. Neff was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence. She was also ticketed for careless driving. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. A restaurant manager in the Villages has been arrested in an alleged attack on the father of her children. Cameron Marie Sandy, 33, general manager of the Chop House. We were just talking about it. The lady ran her car into us. In Lake Sumter Landing, was arrested Saturday night on a charge of battery. The resident of the Pepper Tree Apartments in Wildwood and the man had apparently both been drinking prior to the altercation, which occurred while he was driving a vehicle on Mirror Lake Drive. The two have been in an on-again, off-again relationship for 8 years and have 3 children in common. A couple of their children had gone to the Hurricane Dockside Grill. Been to Hurricane Dockside Grill a couple of times. I like it. The couple of their children had gone to Hurricane Dockside Grill in Tavares. That's where it is, Tavares. And were on their way home. Sandy was unhappy that the man had a friendship with someone who is not a good influence. An argument intensified as she began striking him in the face. He suffered a swollen eye that was visibly red. I think we can fill in the blanks there. One of the children told police, "Mommy hurt Daddy." Sandy was taken into custody and booked at Lake County Jail. She was released after posting a $2,000 bond. Augustine's 1812 house will be ending its run on Friday at Spanish Springs Town Square. It has been announced that the FMK Restaurant Group will take over the location and open a new restaurant there this fall. Fred K. has announced an undisputed record of success in Florida's friendliest hometown, operating Bluefin and Bar and Harvest at Brownwood, the Chop House at Lake Sumter Landing, Costa Del Mar at Spanish Springs, and several country clubs. Kind of like got a monopoly on restaurants inside the Villages. Prior to Augustine's Augustine's 1812 House, the restaurant Dimshire's, opened its location in 2017. Dimshire's closed in 2020 and blames its downturn on COVID-19 and the closure of the town square and the Sharon L. Morse Performing Arts Center during the height of the pandemic. Prior to opening Dimshire's, the eatery had been named Linguini's and shut its doors in October 2015. Originally, the restaurant's name was Augustine's and was owned by the Villages. When the Villages owned that, Augustine's had their own brewery inside. All the beer they made had underground lines that went to every restaurant in town so you could get your favorite beer that they brewed there no matter what restaurant you went to. And that restaurant by far was the best restaurant they've ever had in that town square. It offered Italian food and a highly popular salad with breadsticks. The name Augustine's 1812 House was a tip of the hat to the original name of the restaurant back in Spanish Springs, offered the one and only town square in the Villages. I miss a lot of things around here that's gone by the wayside. It doesn't mean that, it was wrong for a developer to make a business decision to move on. But that restaurant, for some reason, left, and nobody really ever understood why. And I heard that here we are with that I heard again, and Sue told me the same thing, that the brewery that was located in the original Augustine's, that guy took his beer and all that to someplace in Gainesville. A villager helped police track down his son, who fled from the scene of a hit-and-run crash. Mark Reagan, 36, of Pennsylvania, who is visiting his father at 1480 Summerlin Street in the village of Hawkins, was driving a green Mazda 3 at about 3 p.m. Monday when he rear-ended a trailer being towed by a truck in the area of State Road 44 and Powell Road. The other driver said Reagan initially pulled off to the side of the median, but did not make any attempt to exchange information. He suddenly left and headed west on State Road 44. The other driver gave police the Pennsylvania license plate number of Reagan's vehicle. An officer ran a license plate number and found that Reagan resides out of state. The officer checked the database and discovered that Reagan's father lived in the Villages. Police contacted Reagan's father, who said his son had a doctor's appointment at an office at Freedom Plaza on State Road 44. Officers went to Freedom Plaza and found Reagan's green Mazda. He was arrested on a charge of leaving the scene of an accident. He was booked at the Suffolk County Detention Center. His bond was set at $250. I just don't think any of that's high enough. I just don't. Residents of the Villages don't want pickleball courts to be allowed in a rental community in their backyards. Residents of the village of Pinellas are worried about the incessant noise that would be coming from pickleball courts at the townhomes at Powell, to be located on 12.74 acres of land, 0.12 miles east of the intersection of Powell Road and County Road 142. The project will include 6 two-story apartment buildings and 6 two-story townhome blocks. For a total of 132 residential units, the complex would also include a dog park, clubhouse, and pickleball courts. George and Lori Eagers attended a community meeting a year ago with the developer of the project and said they were promised there wouldn't be any pickleball courts. The couple said they were well aware of the constant noise pickleball courts can produce and contend it could become a nuisance. Their neighbor, Heidi Natamas, agrees. Noise levels so close to a peaceful residential area disturbs more people than it serves. We already have a maddening sound from Eisenhower Recreation Center's pickleball courts, which is further away but audible at a level to disturb. Villager Carol Orchowski said the noise from pickleball could make it unbearable for her. I do not want to be placed inside my home with the terrible noise at all hours of the day and evening, she said. If you do not feel it is not a loud game, sit outside a rec center in the Villages near a pickleball court and see just how long you can stand it. The Townhomes at Powell project is an agenda on the Wildwood Commission when it meets at 9 a.m. Monday, May 8th, City Hall. And may I say, you're probably going to get pickleball courts in your backyard, because the only thing Wildwood cares about, the only thing the commissioners care about is it good for the city? And as long as they're collecting tax dollars, it's good for the city. A village of Bridgeport at Lake Sumter woman will lose her driver's license as a result of a drunk driving crash that sent her to the emergency room. Denise Lehman Henrietta, 60, who lives on Tanberry Forest Drive, this past week in Sumter County Court, pleaded no contest to a charge of driving under the influence. She will lose her license for 6 months, was placed on probation for 1 year, and was ordered to perform 80 hours of community service. Well, that's the end of that case. A DoorDash delivery driver was arrested after he was found with his pants unzipped and with adult sexual items in his car. Christopher Adams Swarthout, 48 of Summerfield, was found at about 1 a.m. Thursday in a black Nissan with a Tennessee license plate in the parking lot of a business plaza at 3261 U.S. Highway 27 441, according to the arrest report from the Fruitland Park Police Department. The front zipper of his jeans was completely rolled down, exposing his undergarments. Swarthout said he is a DoorDash delivery driver and claimed he had pulled over to rest. He said that the vehicle was a rental, but could not provide any rental documentation. The registration documents he offered to the officer had inconsistencies. A canine unit was summoned to the scene and the dog alerted on the vehicle. A plethora of adult sexual items were found in a bag next to the driver's seat. 2 syringes containing fentanyl and methamphetamine were also found in the vehicle. The New York native was arrested on charges of possession of fentanyl, possession of methamphetamine, and possession of drug paraphernalia. He was booked at the Lake County Jail on a $5,000 bond. Good Lord. A villager who has fixed an illicit trim collar at her home is seeking forgiveness of a $2,300 fine. Charlotte Burgundy of 713 Megan Circle in the village of Silver Lake was fined for the pink trim at her mint green home. She inherited the home in 2011 from her parents, who purchased it in 1986. In February, the Village Center Community Development District Board of Supervisors found that the home was out of compliance. A complaint had been received in November about the color of the home and blue paint at the end of the driveway. The driveway was not in violation, but it was determined by community centers that the trim color was not in compliance of the color palette. She has had the trim repainted white, and the home is now in compliance. However, she is facing a $2,300 in fines, which accrued while she was out of compliance. Community Standards has indicated to the Village Center Community Development District Board of Supervisors, which will render a decision in connection with the fines, that the department had no costs associated with the case, other than about $150 in staff time and filing fees. The VCCDD Board is scheduled to meet at 3:30 p.m. Wednesday at the Savannah Center. Last month, Burgundy spoke out before the board expressing her dissatisfaction of how her case had been handled. The whole process needs to be revamped, she said. Maybe it does. Maybe it don't. Know your deed restrictions, people. A thief with a long criminal history has been ordered to pay $19,911 in restitution in the theft of a golf cart from the restaurant in the Villages. Robert Joseph Gibson, 44 of Weirsdale, this past week in Lake County Court, pleaded no contest to a charge of grand theft. He was placed on probation for 48 months and was ordered to make restitution in the case. I'm sure he will. Gibson had been arrested June 13, 2022 in connection with the theft of a 2020 Yamaha golf cart valued at $20,000, which had been parked April 8, 2022 at the Outback Steakhouse at Rolling Acres Plaza. The owner left the restaurant at about 7:30 p.m. and discovered his cart was missing from the parking lot. He was still in possession of the keys. That's the best you can do. A review of video surveillance led a detective to suspect Gibson had stolen the golf cart. The detective was aware that Gibson had been associated with previous golf cart thefts. They just don't learn. While he was free on bond, Gibson was arrested over the Labor Day holiday. In 2019, Gibson was arrested after running out of coals in Lady Lake wearing a pair of stolen Nike shoes. A villager was ripped off after trying to help a man and his family. The 72-year-old woman had allowed 28-year-old Genesis Rosado of Summerfield, his girlfriend, and 2 children to move in with her at her home on the historic site of the Villages, according to the affidavit of probable cause. They moved in January 1, but she asked them to leave on January 31. 30 days later. Do you know why? Visiting children under the age of 19 are only allowed to stay here 30 days per calendar year. So 30 days later, they got to go. On the day they moved out, she noticed that her Regions bank card and $125 in cash were missing from her purse. The woman had started noticing suspicious activity on her account in December and had asked her bank to send her a new card. She never received the card. She had given her key for her box at the postal station to Rosado so he could pick up her mail as she was struggling with medical conditions. The detective began looking into the case, and the woman identified fraudulent charges for Cash App transfers, PlayStation Network charges, and Amazon charge, as well as charges at the Walmart in Summerfield and ULTA Beauty in Lady Lake. Video from Walmart and ULTA Beauty linked Rosado to the fraudulent charges. In addition, he placed an online order with Walmart listing the villagers as a purchaser, but designated the order would be picked up by him, and the order included his name, phone number, and email address. Well, that was brilliant. The New York native was arrested this past week on multiple warrants charging him with fraud. He was booked at Lake County Jail on a $14,000 bond. No good deed goes unpunished. A resident of the Villages who was wearing a shoulder brace was arrested after an intoxicated brawl with his live-in girlfriend. Wildwood police were called at about 10 p.m. Saturday to the 7-Eleven at the intersection of State Road 44 and US 301 to investigate a report of a man in a shoulder brace involved in an altercation with a woman. He was reportedly pulling her hair, according to the arrest report from the Wildwood Police Department. A witness told police the man had gone into the 7-Eleven and attempted to use the ATM. He was swaying and fell into the ATM. The man asked his female companion about the debit card he had tried to use. The couple walked outside and the witness heard screaming. The man got into the SUV and drove to another convenience store, but returned and tried to force the woman into the vehicle, the witness told police. The owner stated that he and the woman had been drinking at Bluefin Grill and Bar at Brownwood Petty Square and went to the 7-Eleven to get gas and a drink. "I'm drunk," he told police. "I'm not capable of driving." His breath samples that registered .159 and .146 blood alcohol content. Sudantis was arrested on charges of driving under the influence and battery. In his mugshot, he was clearly wearing a shoulder brace. He was booked at Summit County Detention Center on a $4,000 bond in 2021 while living in Homer Glen, Illinois. Sudantis was arrested in Will County, Illinois on 2 counts of domestic battery. Let's check out the hole-in-one. A villager was thrilled after getting his first hole-in-one. Kevin Macklin of the village of Bonnybrook got the lucky ace at hole number 9 at the Bogart Executive Golf Course. Congratulations on your hole-in-one. That's one more than what I've got. A novice golfer from the village of Bradford was thrilled to get her first hole-in-one. Mary Prowse scored the lucky ace on May 2nd at hole number 6 of the Heron Executive Golf Course. She has only been golfing for about 8 months and got her first hole-in-one. Congratulations. A villager of Briar Meadow resident got a hole-in-one while golfing this past week. Marvin Smith got the lucky ace on Wednesday at hole number 8 at the Walnut Grove Executive Golf Course. Congratulations on your hole-in-one. The crowd at Edna's on the Green cheered for a villager's son after he got his first hole-in-one Thursday here in Florida's friendliest hometown. Benjamin Scholl, 20, was visiting his mother, Tammy Scholl, in the village of Linden when he scored the lucky ace at hole number 1. Sheesh, right out of the bag. Hole number 1. Gets the hole-in-one. You just might as well just quit. Quit playing the game right there. Let's do a couple letters to the editors. I noticed on here, I looked at them yesterday, and I'm going to try to get them in kind of, how do you say, pro and con. To the editor, the family owns and controls the villages and makes profits accordingly. We at Del Webb, the residents, own Del Webb and vote in and out board of directors to run our community. This is the big difference between the villages and Del Webb. This is why I bought in Del Webb after renting 2 winters in the villages. One man's opinion. That's sent in by Al Hurling from Del Webb Spruce Creek. I've always said, the villages ain't for everybody. Here's a response to that letter of why that person chose Del Webb over the villages. To the editor, Mr. Al Hurling's comment on purchasing at Del Webb rather than the villages is food for thought. A number of times living here has made me feel like I'm indebted to the company store, and it's not pleasant at all. Had I known more about Del Webb, I certainly would have taken a tour there. I still may do so in the near future. One caveat, Mr. Hurling, a board of directors comprised solely of residents, cannot infrequently lead to gross mismanagement, financial ruin, and chaos. I wish all of us the best of luck in both locales. That's sent in by Nick Lanana from the village of St. Catherine. So there's a person that agrees with the person at Del Webb. To the editor, we are very lucky to have a governor who can keep Florida flourishing and prevent the morale decay espoused by the bullying Disney. They have had enough corporate welfare. Clueless people like Marcia Shearer can do us all a favor by going back to New York and whatever left-wing haven she came from. They ruined their state and now come down here to ruin Florida. Please go now. Please tell us what you really mean. That's sent in by Jim Koser from the village of Bradford. Here's the other side of that Disney comment. To the editor, in response to the reader who has sided with Governor Ron DeSantis, I find it hard to believe that is his very naive take on governmental overstepping its authority. We live in Vero Beach. I wish that a company like Disney would come here and get things functioning in a logical way. The state is mismanaged from all angles. We live on the Indian River. It is polluted. The sewer and septic systems are outdated and they leach contaminants. We also have unfettered use of chemical leaching from lawn care companies, deciding to use the power of the office of the governor to get even with a company because they disagree with the homophobic policy is wrong. I wish that the legislator would focus on issues that have real impact on people's lives. Our homeowners policy has been canceled twice because of the carrier leaving the state because of the cost of litigation down here. Well, if you ask me, there are two problems right there that need fixing. Now, a new law will cripple agriculture and construction by making it a felony to hire immigrant workers. We have horses. That industry only functions with immigrant labor. That's sent in by Michael Roberts from Vero Beach. Well, I think that's going to be the news for this week. So with that being said, have a good day. Have a good weekend. We're out of here. I got a special birthday party to go to. We'll see you on the other side.
So don't leave your keys in the golf cart.